Very good morning, students. The topic which we are going to start today from the statistical methods is characteristics of statistics. Okay, so we'll be starting it. The first characteristic of statistics are aggregates of facts. As we have discussed, students, the meaning of statistics, right? The analyzing, the interpretation of the figures, of the numerical data, right? That is statistics. And interpreting the results afterwards. Now, we'll be starting with the characteristics. Statistics are aggregate of facts. Only those facts which are capable of being studied in relation to time, place, or frequency can be called statistics. So all those facts, all those informations which we can study in relation to time, place, and frequency, we can call it statistics. If we talk about individual figure, suppose I will say that Ram has scored 90 marks. Will it give some conclusion? Can you interpret this? No, you cannot. Because there is no comparison given to you. Right? There is no comparison given to you. So you cannot interpret the results from this figure. Because this is individual and single. And it's quite obvious it is not connected at all. Right? So we cannot say it as statistics. We can only say those facts, that information as statistics which has some comparison. Okay? Right? Due to this reason, only aggregates of facts, example data relating to IQ of a group of students. So if we are talking about IQ of group of students, right? That Ram's IQ is 60%, Sham's IQ is 80%, and Vinod's IQ is 90%. So if I'll ask you that who has the greater percentage of IQ, you can easily tell me, ma'am, the last one Vinod has greater IQ, because here you can do the comparison, right? So basically, the statistics are aggregate of facts. If they are not facts, if those facts are not providing you comparison between the different types of figures, right, or data, you cannot tell it. You cannot tell the interpretation afterwards, right? So when you are able to do comparison between n number of figures, that is called statistics, right, students? Moving to the next one. Statistics are affected to a marked extent by multiplicity of causes. Okay? So what they are saying, that the more data is related to social sciences, right? As changes are affected to combined effect of many factors, right? If you talk about statistical study of social sciences, we come to know the combined effect of multiple causes, right? Suppose three students are given, Ram, Sham, and Vinod, right? And the various marks they have scored in English, maths, and science are also given. So you see here the data, the number of students we have 3, and the information is given in a multiple number, right? Their marks in science, maths, and English are given to us, right? So what they say that it's a combined effect of multiple causes. Next one is statistics are numerically expressed, right? If I say that Ram is honest person, right? Can you interpret it? No, you cannot interpret it, because it's just a qualitative information. It's not a quantitative information, right? But if it is said that Ram is 100% honest and Sham is 50% honest, and I'll ask you who is more honest, then you can tell me right? Who has the greater percentage? Is it clear to you? So, what they say is qualitative phenomena which cannot be numerically expressed cannot be described as statistics. So, if I'll ask you, Ram is honest, just, right? It's not statistics. We cannot say it as statistics, right? But if we assign numerical expression to it, as I've already told you, if Ram is 100% honest and Sham is 50% honest, then you can abruptly say that yes, ma'am, Ram is much honest than Sham, right? No doubt, there is also qualitative information, but with the qualitative information, there should be also quantitative information, right? Only then you can describe it as statistics, right? I'm moving to the next one. Statistics are enumerated or estimated according to reasonable standards of accuracy, right? So what they say, they are saying that there is not only one standard of different inquiries, okay? There are n number of standards. Suppose students, if you have given a task, right? Just imagine it. If you have given a task of calculating the population of Amritsar city only, right? Then how will you tell the expert that this is the average population who is educated? Obviously, you will imply some test upon it, right? You will definitely do some comparison. You will definitely collect the information first of all in quantitative form, right? So, what they say that in order to interpret the results, you need to adopt n number of standards, right, students? So, if we talk about a single student cannot be ignored while calculating IQ of 100 students. So, if I'll ask you to calculate the population percentage, you cannot skip a single person, right? So in the similar way, if the teacher asks you to calculate the IQ of 100 student in group, whereas 10 soldiers can be easily ignored while finding out IQ of soldiers of whole country, right? If I talk about in a class which is of 34/10, you have to find out the IQ of all and the greater IQ of the student, right? You have to include all the students, but if the data is in a very large number, it may be that some of the people or some of the students may get ignored, right? Yeah. So what they say that similarly we can ignore 10 deaths in a country, but we cannot ignore even a single death in a family, right? The amount of time and resources at disposal also determine the amount of accuracy in estimates. So I hope it is understood to all of you, right? Moving to the next point. Statistics are collected in a systematic manner. You know that in the first class we have done the steps involved in statistical study, right? So you know that there are a number of steps starting from the collection of data till interpretation or conclusion. We have n number of steps. So it's collected in a systematic manner, because if you will not collect in a systematic manner, if you will just, what you will do, if you will just find out of one area, right, population of one area, and you just calculate it, it would not be a right information. Nobody would trust you, right? So the what the information is mentioned in Google, it is collected in a systematic manner, right? So what they say, in order to have reasonable standard of accuracy, Statistics must be collected in a very systematic manner. Any rough and haphazard method of collection will not be desirable, for that may lead to improper and wrong conclusions. So it's quite obvious. If you will not collect the information in a systematic way, students, if you will not collect the information in a systematic way, it would be very hodgepodge, right? Accuracy, you cannot define, you cannot say that your results are accurate then. If you will follow a pattern, if you follow a systematic approach, then you can say that yes, your results are 99% accurate then, right? The next one is statistics for a predetermined purpose. Yes, students, why do you calculate mean? You might have studied mean, median, mode, right? Why do you study statistics? It's quite obvious when you need to interpret some results from a particular field or area, right? So what you do? It's quite obvious that the investigator needs the results, needs the data in order to conclude the results. Okay? So the investigator must have a purpose beforehand and then should start the work collection, right? So suppose Dhananjay Kumar is an investigator. Dhananjay Kumar is an investigator and he needs to collect the mountain species of plants. Okay, what Dhananjay will do? Dhananjay will definitely go to the hilly areas, all the hilly areas. If he is a researcher, if he is doing research in some field, he has to go. He cannot ignore students. Okay, what he will do? He will go to the hilly areas and he will collect the samples of different plants grown over there. He will collect the samples, right? And he will then interpret that how many those wild plants are present in the 20 to 25 mountain areas, right? So the investigator Dhananjay Kumar, he has some motive in his mind that he has to collect the plant species which are wild, right? So in order to do that research, he must have first of all a motive in mind, and then he will collect the samples, and then he will see and he will tell how much percentage the particular wild species are there in mountainous areas, right? The data collected without any purpose is of no use. Suppose Dhananjay do not have any purpose, right? Do not have any purpose before doing this research, then would the data he has collected from n number of things is useful? No, no, not at all, right? It's not. Suppose he just have this thing in his mind that he has to do research. What he do? He collects he goes to an institution. He collected this number of students from there. Then he goes to mountainous area. He collected some wild species plants sample. Then he goes to some desert area, and he is like searching for something over there. What is this? This is nothing. This you Dhananjay do not know what he has to collect. He is just collecting irrelevant information and wasting his time. So before investigator is going to start his or her work, he or she needs to find out the purpose first of all, right? The data collected without any purpose is of no use, hence proved. Suppose we want to know intelligence of a section of people, we must not collect data relating to income, attitude and interest. It's so given to you, beta. What it is given? They are saying that if you want to collect intelligence of a section of people, will you be going to mountain and will you be collecting the plant species? Will you be collecting The type of people visiting the mountainous area? No, not at all. So you will be just going to that field, going to that section, and you'll be just calculating the IQ of these students, right? The next one is statistics are capable of being placed in relation to each other. As I have told you students that the statistics, the figures which we have collected, they must be capable of being compared to another figures, right? Otherwise, there is no use of using those figures in statistics, right? Then there is no use. Comparison can be made only if the data are homogeneous, right? So if the data which we are collecting, if it has some relevant meaning, right? If we are interpreting the results, if it has some relevant meaning and has some comparison, only then you cannot do comparison on a single individual data, right? So the data should be homogeneous. Then data on memory test can be compared with IQ, not with salary status of parents. It's quite obvious. If we are collecting the data from IQ level, right? So whether it would be 2 students, it would be 10 students, it would be 15 students, we need to just then calculate the IQ of 10 or 15 students. And it's not like that we are going to see their parents' salary, right? It is with the use of comparison only that we can depict changes which may relate to time, place, frequency, or any other character, and statistical devices are used for this purpose, right? Moving to the next. Functions of statistics. I hope students, what we have done till now is clear to you all. And now we'll be discussing functions of statistics. Now, what are the functions of statistics? The first function is to present the fact, to present the data in a definite form, right? Which definite form? Okay? They are saying that we can represent the things or the facts which are true and with the help of figures, so that the investigator, so that the interpreter who is going to interpret the results must get the information easily from the figures, from the tables, right? And without a statistical study, the data collected would be waste, would be vague. It would be of no use, right? So it should be in a definite form. As I've already told you, if IQ is getting collected, if IQ of a number of students is getting collected, then there should be only IQ and there should be comparison between n number of students also, right? And it should be depicted in numerical form, in quantitative form, right? Precisation to the facts. Yes, students, when you will collect data of 100 students, it's quite obvious the data is precise, right? The interpreter can go for the results easily from the 100 data, but if it would be in a hodgepodge manner, there would be no limit. Then how the interpreter would come to results, right? The data may be represented in the form of graph for proper understanding, through diagrams, through pie charts, right? Through bar graphs, etc. Comparison. We have already discussed this, that we will describe only those facts as statistics which are capable of comparison. The facts which are not at all capable of comparison, we do not call them statistics, right? The next one is forecasting. Okay, students, so we cannot say that the statistics is only based on some information now. You right? So it helps us in forecasting. If a company is going to issue its budget, suppose XYZ company is going to make its budget for the next financial year, that is 2022, will the company would be sure that the finances the company is writing now in the starting would be enough for the whole year? No. So how the company will predict the next year budget? The company will predict the next year budget through the last year performance. How much expenses the company has incurred in the past year, right? So it helps us in forecasting. Policy making. Yes, from the data available to us from the last year, help us to make policies for the next year, right? It enlarges knowledge. Students, whenever you just want to know about what's the population of India, you just type it on Google and ask what's the population of India. It tells you some rate. It tells you some percentage rate. So the population information collected from this census, from the survey methods, it enlarges your knowledge, students. Okay, you came to know about it. If nobody is collecting, how would you be able to know? If you know that agriculture is major portion, okay, from which the maximum income is received in Punjab, how you are able to know? You are able to know through the statistic figures, right? If they would not be there, would you be able to know about the agriculture sector's growth? No, you would not. To measure uncertainty, you know that future is uncertain, and through the past figures we are able to recognize about the future decision making, and we can reduce our risk in futures. So students, this is all about the characteristics and the functions of statistics. I hope it is clear to you all.